Today, I am thrilled to welcome Kree Govender, the leader in Canada's SMB space at Microsoft and a passionate AI evangelist. Beyond driving AI adoption for SMBs, Kree is what I consider a true LinkedIn thought leader. He is consistently sharing personal insights that resonate deeply with the community, including many that have inspired me personally. If you're not already following Kree or his page Think to Drive, you absolutely should. Today, I'm excited to hear his perspective on how AI can transform businesses. And in this conversation, we'll explore how AI is reshaping work, the mindset shifts SMBs need to succeed, and the trends that will define the next few years. Kree, thank you so much for joining me.
It is wonderful to be here with you. I've been looking forward to this for some time. So thanks for having me, Juliana.
Of course. Thank you for being here. So, I want to start by saying you're a known AI evangelist. I want to know what's the most exciting change AI has brought to your own work recently?
Uh, I don't even know if it's recently, but it feels like it's happening to me. Every time I open my eyes every morning, there's something new and exciting within our Microsoft context and even in the world at large. It's a fantastic time to be alive. It's very energizing. But I think the most recent shift for me is like having this feeling of this digital pit crew that's around me. Even though I'm sitting in my basement and I'm physically working alone, I no longer feel alone. I'm working with these AI agents that are now doing a ton of work for me. I remember when I first started working with Copilot, I had this objective for myself, which was I want to buy back 1 hour every day. And I would make notes on the side of, okay, it did this email for me and it created that for me. How many minutes am I saving? And now, hand on heart, I'm literally saving, or I'm gained rather, somewhere between 4 to 5 hours every single day. If I think about all the work that
Wow.
these agents are doing for me on my behalf, from the time I wake up in the morning, instead of going to all of these websites, I have an agent that goes and curates all of this information for me. It flips it into an audio podcast. So while I'm at the gym, I can listen to it while I'm running on the treadmill, be up to speed with that. It's trained on the way that I write and the type of language that I use. So it ghostwrites things for me that I can then just apply my own touches to and then post those things out. So it's created so many positivity and productivity hacks in my life. I've got one now that just scans my email all the time and sends me a Teams ping so that I don't no longer need to look at my inbox. And it tells me, am I in the to line or not? Is it an FYI? And once again, it helps me write up a sample response if I so want to use it. So those are just some of the examples. But what it's done for me is it's taken my day away from 2 years back where it felt like I was juggling knives to try and stay in control and has introduced more control and more calm into my life. It's given me more time back with my family and also to lean into other things that really energize me as well. So those are just some of the things that this has empowered me with.
I love that. And, I've seen that in my own life as well. Like, Copilot is an absolute must because it's become such an important part of my life. And, what's cool that I noticed about what you were saying is you're already a very productive person. You're not a person to waste time. You like to do all kinds of things and add value everywhere and every part of your life. But, what's amazing about AI is that, you know, even for people like you, it allows you to even have a much larger impact, right? Because you're a person that wants to drive value and make an impact. So it allows you to do much more because of that. It takes away all the little things that might not be as impactful, but they play a big role and they take a lot of time. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
That's a pleasure.
So, in this podcast, my goal is to help organizations. So I want to turn the tables a little bit and I want to talk about, how you see SMBs embracing AI differently from larger organizations.
I feel very blessed to work within this SMB subsegment, at least now for the last 3 years. And with my legacy being in the enterprise for such a long time, I can draw the stark differences between the way that they operate. And I see our SMBs treating AI like a power tool, not a science project that's living in a petri dish. Large organizations, they often get trapped in planning cycles, governance layers, compliance, alignment meetings about other alignment meetings. And those things are necessary. You can't rip them out of those large organizations because that's what allows them to operate consistently across sometimes multi geographies and with hundreds and sometimes hundreds of thousands of employees. SMBs, though, don't have that luxury of time. And that's
Yeah.
also their advantage. How they leverage AI and now agents, they do it in these incredibly pragmatic ways I've come to find. I know SMBs that are using AI voice agents that handle customer inquiries that come in at now any time of the day with deep knowledge. There's always cheerful tone, and they're combining that with first time resolutions. How many times have we called into a call center and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't handle your query. Let me pass you on to someone else. Or when you
Yep.
call back, you've got to start the conversation all over again. And this, for many SMBs, they were unable to invest in that. Now they can do it for dollars at a fraction of the cost. I've seen them using these content agents that draft proposals or even their social media outreaches for them, and it's sprayed out almost instantaneously. And a favorite of mine is when I see these SMBs using our researcher agent to do this deep market scan just in terms of potential opportunities or even competitor analyses, things that they would have had to have spent tens of thousands of dollars on to invite specialists in to complete for them. So those are just three examples. And what I often refer to here is where enterprises build these frameworks, SMBs use that same time to go and build momentum. However, there is a piece that they need to be cautious about. These large organizations, because of all of those constructs that we spoke about, also have a very strong security first mindset. SMBs sometimes can sacrifice that in lieu of going with speed. And I urge them to also balance that out. Adopt a security first mindset because you cannot have speed without control.
Right. No, that's such a great call out. So, my next question was going to be, something related to that, where what mindset shifts or culture changes are essential for SMBs to succeed with AI? And I think, that's one of them for sure. It's that mindset of, hey, there needs to be that balance.
Absolutely. And if I think about mindset, there's a few things that come into this. The other pressure that many SMBs face is that they're typically wearing more than one hat within the organization. Whereas in larger enterprises, you have things that are purified by a job title and job function. It's very neatly defined. Often we find with SMBs, especially if they're owner operated, and even if they're not just owner operated, but they have people that are fulfilling multiple roles within the organization just because they have to, because they're
Yeah.
significantly leaner. And that comes at the cost of, I'm too busy right now. I'll find free time to go and figure this out later. That's one. The second one that I find is the space is moving so fast. Every single day, there are new technologies that are coming out. I heard something from Asha Sharma, our VP, and she said, hey, from 2025, start of the year up until the time her podcast was released, which was probably 2 or 3 months ago, she said there have been 70,000 enterprise grade AI tools that have been released just in this
Wow.
year alone. That's a staggering amount, right? And enterprise being the key word within that. So these SMBs are sometimes paralyzed for choice. And like, if they're not in tech, many of them are not, you even go about making a choice. And tied in closely with that is they say, well, I'm just going to delay this to later. But once everything settles out with this AI thing, I'll figure it out then. And by then, there will be a very clear answer for me in terms of what I should be doing. And where I invite them to go to is to think about, let me think about redesigning my processes so it's now infused and amplified with AI. They need to think about their business almost like a country. For years, you've been living in the same town, you've been operating within the confines of that. And AI is like discovering a new road that leads to a new city and new things and new experiences, but only if you find those moments of curiosity will you be able to get to those points. If you're not curious enough, you're going to stay within the confines of the things that are known and comfortable and drive the same roads that are highly repeatable for you. Culturally, what they've got to go and create is outside of this sense of experimentation, but the sandbox type mentality, create psychological safety and this culture of experimentation that they can undergo within the organization as well. I heard this quote and I love using it when I speak to people, and I say that if you can't waste hours, you will lose years because it's not a waste of that time, but you've got to waste it with the experimentation and getting up to speed. You cannot bypass that as part of your organic process.
Wow, that is amazing. I love what you said about redefining processes too. And that analogy is amazing because it really put things into perspective. Do you want to keep going the same road that is going to take you way longer, or do you want to do something different that it's different than what you're doing, but it may be quite impactful? Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Are there any common misconceptions that SMB leaders have about AI that you'd like to debunk?
Yeah, and I covered one a little while ago, and it's closely tied with this. Is many of our SMBs unfortunately think AI is for the bigger companies, and it's just not true. And I think that that is now fading over time as they're seeing things that are happening, especially with peers in the space or other companies that are relatively similar in size. And these AI tools that we have, AI agents, they give these smaller teams the ability to punch significantly above their weight. A two-person business now can operate like 100 or even 1,000-person organization, if not larger. The second one is that they think that they need these deep technical skills. And anybody who's worked with any sort of generative tool realizes all you need to be able to do is speak in the way that you do. Right now, you can even code in that manner. You can generate so many things just through natural language. And now you don't even need to type, you can just dictate it through. So, yeah, they don't need those deep technical skills. And the big one, which is AI is going to replace my people. And there's always this aspect and element of fear. And I don't like to think about task replacement being equivalent to human replacement. I like to see it as augmentation. Will people be replaced in certain instances? Absolutely. But it's not 100% a like for like in terms of that. I think it's got to be a significant amount of AI infusion and things that can be largely automated to say, hey, we should be actually displacing a human being.
Yeah, that's great. Very true for all three of them. I mean, I can speak to the technical piece, right? Like I
Mm.
never really consider myself an overly technical person, and now I'm creating workflows, and Copilot has done that for me. But it's just you're absolutely right. It's just some of those things we have fears that may not be real fears, just and we don't even take the first step to be curious and try and implement. So absolutely right. So, how should SMBs decide which AI initiatives to start with versus which ones to hold off on?
The first thing you've got to do is start on your own journey. And I invite everybody to look at themselves first and approach it from a lens of productivity. So start with building AI fluency. A tool like Copilot is fantastic for that. It's built into the applications that billions around the world are already familiar with. So your AI journey can start in the home and the comfort of something that is very familiar to you. You don't need to go out and learn a new tool and a new interface. That helps in that learning journey and it removes a lot of the friction. And as you develop and you grow your capabilities, you'll eventually move into actual fluency and capability and eventually into reflexive AI. And like where it becomes a reflex action and it's not even in conscious thought anymore,
Yeah.
and then it's now interwoven into your flow of work. And once you get to that point, you will then start to understand areas of opportunity in your business for leveraging AI where it's going to deliver the most amount of impact for you. And that often starts in areas where the friction is highest in the organization. Things like highly repetitive tasks where there are high volume interactions or there are things that are very clearly defined with rules, or in some instances, work that you tend to avoid because it's slow and it's draining. those I've found are the prime areas where organizations can lean into this and start their AI initiatives for sure.
I
I would
love that.
also like to say as well, avoid areas that involve like a high degree of integration and where you've got these complex workflows, that's just going to like grind you down.
Yeah, 100%. And it may even push you away from doing it because then you think, oh, it's just very complex and I just don't have the time or energy to do that. Yeah, I 100% agree. So, looking ahead, I'm very, very passionate about the market here in Canada. So, what AI trends excite you most for SMBs in Canada?
Mhm. There's so many. There's so many in here. I think the first one is I love seeing that the cost of these services and these models and the tools that are being released are being pushed further and further down. It just means that these now become accessible to and democratized so much faster. Like that's a wonderful thing to see. But I think for these small businesses, more than anything else, one I've already covered a little bit earlier on, but this ability to have a voice agent that is there as a digital receptionist for you or a product specialist or even booking appointments is absolutely phenomenal. Like 24 by 7, like it opens up another channel or even augments an existing channel that they have with this high quality experience for your customers, and they can be multi-language as well. These service agents that you have that can automatically follow up with your customers, so you can have that high quality touch point with them. Those are also fantastic. And I think there's just outside of that the ability to go and create agents very quickly through tools like a Copilot Studio. Once again, just with natural language, you had referenced your own use case there, and have them take action on your behalf is hugely empowering. So that's what I'm most excited about, the rise of this agentive capability. And as customers now start to move across phase one into phase two, where agents now start to actually work as peers within the organization. Eventually, where we'll move to is phase three and being a true frontier organization, where you've got this blend and mix of organic human capacity together with synthetic agent of digital capacity.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited,
Mhm.
but it is exciting, seeing the faces, seeing organizations, start in phase one, the light bulbs that go on, the impact that it has on the organization. It's honestly really cool. And I'm so excited to be a part of the process and to be able to see it in real time. So if an SMB leader could do one thing today to position their business for success with AI, what would that one thing be?
I would say a leader's prime role during this time is to go and create psychological safety. I think a great route for them would be to create a 1 hour weekly ritual within their organization. Term it however you want, like an AI power hour or something. And the leader has to be the one who starts and owns that meeting, role modeling for people what he or she wants to see. So demonstrate and share how they're interweaving and using and working with AI in their own workflow, critically share what are the key prompts and or agents and or tools that they're using to accomplish things, critically demonstrate where they've not had great success, where they've stumbled themselves, where they've struggled and failed. Where did they go and learn? Those are the things. People don't just want to see only the successes. They want to know that they can see a reflection of themselves, their own
Right.
journey, their own fallibilities in their leaders as well. So it starts and it almost ends with the leader on that front. And then obviously invite others into that space. So once you created that psychological safety, what you're really looking for is the first follower. And once you have the first follower, others see that it's a safe space that they too can lean into that. And that's how you go about creating a movement within an organization. And here it's very much like going to the gym. Like consistency will beat intensity, uh, hands down, always. You've got to be hyper consistent in terms of that. It goes back to that reflexive AI piece that I spoke about.
Wow, that's really, really great insight. I just have to say, like I really love your authenticity. Like I just while talking to you, I really love the insights that you share. I feel like it's coming from a deep place and things that you've done too. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure the listeners will really find that valuable. So how do you see AI changing the way SMBs compete in the next 3 to 5 years?
SMBs, even before the age of AI, what they've had in their locker is what I've spoken to earlier. They're not constrained by some of the things that larger and enterprise organizations are. They're like these nimble, sharp, swift speedboats, and our enterprises are these luxury cruise liners that are able to withstand choppy waters. The speedboats are sometimes cannot survive through those conditions, or their courses is changed a little bit, but that agility helps them so much. And if we think back, traditionally, large organizations have the size, they've got the financial capital, and that's it's been able to inoculate them against the challenges of SMBs. But now SMBs have the ability to amplify their offerings. They're able to go and unlock things that were once only the domain of the enterprise. If you think about those voice agents that I had mentioned, if you think about having a legal team, those could be digital. Then imagine having a legal counsel on hand. They're so expensive. But
Yeah.
now it's cost you a few dollars in terms of that. So a fantastic copywriter, a fantastic legal team, a fantastic digital outreach sales team, a fantastic customer support team. I could go on, and all of these can operate 24/7 and are like theoretically infinitely scalable. So you could have these swarms and swarms of digital employees that are executing for you on a multitude of tasks. So I think competition, not even I think, I know competition will shift away from who has more money and more people to who has better workflows and better agents and smarter agents. That is what's going to define organizations going forward. And that's an area where SMBs will genuinely like compete like head to head and on par with these enterprise style organizations.
Wow, that's really cool because actually I hadn't thought about that, but that makes total sense. You brought up researcher earlier on, like, hey, you don't have to maybe, hire a big consulting firm to, do all you give you all these data and all these insights. You can use researchers to help you with that. So I tie that with exactly with what you're saying is the organization that's creative and curious enough to take the steps necessary to try things out to see what works will be more advantageous than the organization that doesn't and is waiting to, oh, when we make more revenue, more money, then we'll invest in other things. So that's really cool. Thank you. That's yeah, that makes total sense. So I have one last question here, and it's what resources, practices, or communities do you recommend for SMBs that want to move faster with AI?
I'm going to start with the last one, which are the communities, because that's really where I see a lot of the power lying for them. And in Canada, I'll just pick out two. One is the Toronto Regional Board of Trade, the oldest board of trade that we have in Canada. Fantastic meeting point and melting pot for diverse SMBs. We learn by seeing what others have done. And if there's a degree of trust and advocacy for something, people are more liable to go along with that. So there they can find people within their communities, organizations that look like them, that operate like them, that have the same sort of challenges and opportunities. That's where they can go and they can speak with ease and be able to get real life examples. So connecting into that, and I said there were two. The second one is digital publications, things like Canadian SME magazine. There's a whole host of them, but those online communities as well are a fantastic meeting spot for them. And things like our innovation hubs that we have, areas where these SMBs congregate both in a digital format as well as in a physical format. That's one. Second one I had spoken about, which was what should an SMB leader do, that AI power hour, as I've termed it, is a fantastic practice, I believe, that they should absolutely start with. May feel uncomfortable at first, but it's something that they can genuinely lean into. And the last one is come to Microsoft, like learn.microsoft.com, a richness of resources in there that you could be a full-time learner in that space. And the learning parts are so well structured, I feel. We've also got our Microsoft events catalog, and hopefully, Juliana, you can share some of those links to that. But people can join there and either in a digital webinar type format, or if there are in-person events, many of which we host at our location centers, like the office in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and so forth. So people can, and SMBs can then do that two-step approach, as I had mentioned, the physical in person together with the digital engagement as well. So those are just some of the resources that I would suggest.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Cree. Such valuable insights today. Your perspective on how SMBs can embrace AI with confidence and clarity is inspiring. You've taught me a lot today. I have a lot of analogies I can use now with my customers. But no, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. And for those listening, if you want to keep learning from Cree, make sure to follow him on LinkedIn and check out his Think to Thrive. It's outstanding. He shares a lot of things, personal insights that I personally find very valuable. So I'm confident that you will too. And remember, AI isn't just a trend, it's a shift in how we work, in how we compete. And conversations like this, it helps us all move forward. So thank you so much for taking the time and for listening.
Thank you so much.